Okay. One of the many things that you do is you help people see themselves. You help them see that they are multi-dimensional beings. And
Yes.
I would love if you could just kind of explain kind of quickly what that is and then how you help people do that.
hmm So 3D is the physical world. It's your body, right? And then the next level out. So everybody has a there. We have a physical body, and then we have an energy body. And
Mhm.
our energy body, of course, is called the aura. And the first layer of your aura is called the body double. It's where we hold our habits. Okay, so let's say you gained 50 pounds over the pandemic and you want to lose them now. You're going to battle with that energy body of whatever habits you've gained that have left you in the condition that you're in. Like any habit that you have gives you the body that you have. And so we have to be multidimensional, which is connecting to when we go to change a habit, we have this force field around us that says, no, don't do that. It's dangerous. And then we have to prove to ourselves that it's okay and that we're safe, right? So the first level of energy outside of your physical body is your body double, the etheric body. It's basically uh, at that time in the early 1900s, spiritualists, when they would table tip or do seances, and
Mhm.
they would call on a spirit, that they would witness basically the etheric body. And when you see a ghost is also the etheric body. So I'm hoping to tie all of this stuff together. So then the next level out is your emotional body, right? And when we talk about going to the fourth dimension, that's what we're talking about, is the ability to have awareness of our feelings. So the thoughts and the ideas or the feelings that come up and interact are your mental and your emotional and mental bodies, which are two layers further out of the aura, right? And so when we talk about being multidimensional, it's your ability to drive a car,
Mm.
think about the guy across the way and what a jerk he is, dream about that sugar pop that you're looking forward to having when you land, right? How thirsty
Always.
you are and that you really have to go to the bathroom, right? Your ability to do all of those things and maybe connect with a loved one in a thought like, oh, I need to call Aunt
Mhm.
Sarah, or I need to call Jim or Sally or whatever. All of those ways that those are all intuitive ways that we connect with other people, places, and things. That's what we call the fourth and fifth dimension.
We are incredible, right?
We absolutely are. Your ability to hear energy, your ability to visualize it when you have, you and I were talking about having a vision,
Hmm.
right? When you can daydream, when you can say, wow, I'm going to go to this thing and I want to wear this kind of a suit or this kind of a dress, or, when I feel the most comfortable, I see myself wearing X, and you can visualize that thing. That's what being clairvoyant is, right? So really all of these things are basic ways that we are naturally as human beings. These are people might be more comfortable calling them our creative sense, right? Our ability
Yes.
to create is our ability to connect to our inner worlds, which are these thoughts and these visions and these ways that we internally, right? Because that's how we experience it, is internally. uh, when you are clairaudient and you hear energy, uh, it sounds like a word. Like I remember the first time after my mom died, the first time that she came to me, it was several months after she died, and she literally was in the middle of the night, and she literally pulled the veil and her face came out like this, and she says, Trace, thanks for all your help. And I was not prepared for that. And
Oh,
yeah, I burst into tears.
oh my gosh.
Yes, I had to get up out of it like, Trace. Oh my goodness. It was hilarious. But
The next time, Mom, can it look a little?
right,
Can we have coffee?
right, seriously.
Instead.
So that was a very real experience, but I
Wow.
heard it
Well,
internally and I saw it. It was as
mhm.
real as it could be but it was not of this physical world.
Yes.
Or you become accustomed to being self-aware about the thoughts that you have or the imagination that you have, the more it becomes pronounced.
So how do you personally help people do that? Discover this.
So as a spiritualist, so I'm an empath and a shaman. I'm a spiritual empath and an empath. So I take on the people's spiritual energy or their emotional energy, and I read that. I feel it, so I can describe it. Being a shaman means that I take people and we spiritually, psychically move. We go on a spiritual journey
Mm,
into their past lives, into whatever we're looking to decipher, whatever energy or information we need. We go on a journey to find it, and then we come back to the present time. And that's essentially the principles that shamanism is based on. Um, so when somebody comes to me, oftentimes they don't know what they want or need. And
mm,
so we start out with what's bothering them. And from that seed of information comes that little seed will take us on a journey to lead us back in time and space to what we need to find out. Everybody's journey is
different.
distinct and different.
Mm. How could it not be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a series of books
Yes,
called
you
the
do.
Demon Slayer's Handbook series. First one is Master Your Inner World. And the idea of master your inner world, when people say, find out who you are, who are you? What that means is that we all, our spirit, our soul that's injected into our body, we have a DNA,
Mm,
right? We have a DNA awareness. And then we have a spiritual lineage. We have DNA lineage and a spiritual lineage. And that spiritual lineage not can, but is thousands upon thousands of years old. This is an interesting time being alive on the planet today, because even
mm,
20 years ago, their belief was that 5,000 years ago or 4,000 years ago in Egypt was the oldest
right.
cultures. And no, we have been on the human beings have been on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years.
Yes.
And we're now getting the proof, probably billions of years,
Yeah.
but we can't really conceptualize
Yep.
that. So at least
Yeah.
we made it back to some of these really ancient cultures where we're starting to scientifically witness proof of that.
Yeah.
But so when we talk about finding out who you are, your soul that you are born with, your body anchors that soul. That soul has imprints or pictures that are awakened sometimes at different stages of life, whether you're birthing, you're what do you call it? Prepubescent and then pubescent, and then as you move into childbearing age and then becoming a crone, right? All of those ages awaken different aspects of yourself. And when we say different aspects, meaning you have these imprints, these thoughts, these things that you're attracted to, this information that you have that you didn't know you had, all of that is your inner world.
Mm,
And when you recognize something's present, or you have a behavior that you don't like, or you have a belief system, right?
mm-hmm.
One of the things I talk about in Master Your Inner World and Conquer Your Karmic Relationships is every culture, every community, every society has a way and a means of doing things that is based on oftentimes just where they live, their geographic presence, and what was going on the planet, and what they needed to do to devise a way of living and seeking peace.
Yeah.
And so we as human beings have lived, each soul has lived in multiple cultures, in different genders, in multiple ways, right? And so you might come into this world, people who are transgender are people who come into this world with a sense that they are different than their
Mm,
body gender,
yeah.
right? They're like, no, I might be in a female body, but I'm really a man.
Mm,
I might be this, but I'm that, right? That's a very real thing. What you do with that is up to you, and a part of your karma, a part of what
mm,
you need in order to recognize that and commit to it. Anyway, so that's what I talk about in Master Your Inner World. And in that whole experience, there are other entities on other levels. There are all kinds of other beings. Of course, we're not the only ones. There are some beings that are only internal beings, like demonic energies, are energies who have never incarnated in a body. They've never been in a body. They are only in the in-between, and they need our permission to participate.
Yeah.
Right? There's the fairy realm, there are divas, there are things in the ocean. Like, I mean, there are angelics,
Yes.
right? There are
You
so many
name
different
it.
things.
Yes.
Can we
Hi.
hold on? That's
Yes, please.
yes. I
Hi.
have to go let her out.
Oh yeah,
So
sure.
let's take a 2-second commercial break.
Yes. Yeah,
I'll be
take your
right back.
time.
Okay, so
Oh,
back to your
yes.
Master Your Inner World. When this book in particular speaks of, it's called Master Your Inner World, Embrace Your Power with Joy. And it's talking about when we address our shadow self,
Mm,
all the ways in which we do it. And in this case, this was I talk about working with all of my spiritual guides, which means guides that were in spirit. How I came to know them, how they presented themselves to me. I channel their stories as the beginning of each chapter when I talk about different spiritual, mental, and emotional dynamics as a human being. I mean, that's really what this book covers. The next book is really groovy. It's called Heal Your Soul History. And that one really is intended to talk about all of your imprints, your past lives,
mm,
all the different times on the planet where, people have been awful to one another.
mm,
And today we are looking for ways to reconcile that and to reconcile that pain. One of the through lines that this series has is grief, because as you are awakening spiritually, grief is very much a bridge from one perspective to another.
yes.
And when a person has experienced trauma in any form, at some point they're going to have to grieve it. And
Mm,
if you're in a life or a society or a system that does not support who you are and you are oppressed, you are not able to experience that grief. And so you will take that grief with you, or you will pass it off to other people, but somebody's got to feel that. That is not a free for all,
mhm.
right? And so that's something that we're all connecting with right now on the planet, and especially here in the US and our political cycle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of grief going around.
Mhm.
Anyway, but that's a whole other topic. So that leads you then to the final book, which is Conquer Your Karmic Relationships, which that deals with not only your interpersonal but your cultural elements, like how a person traverses through multiple cultures, spiritually speaking, like multiple systems, and what that looks like, how it feels, how a person expresses it, mentally, emotionally, physically, right? How we relate to illness. I talk about everything in that book, everything.
Mm.
Your relationship to food. The fourth chapter. This is my favorite chapter. Oh my God, it's just my favorite. It is called part 4. It's called Mastery: Your Karmic Relationship to Authority, Fear, Hate, and Death. Right? Because all of those things, right? We have to learn how to deal with those things. They are vibrations.
Mm.
They're not people. They're not places. They are a part of the in-between worlds. They are dynamics that we experience, we offer to others, right? They are wherever we will put them,
Mhm.
right? And so it was so important that I did a whole section of the book on that alone. Here's the thing though, everything does have a meaning. That meaning is related to an emotion.
Yes.
And so we can't sit that aside.
No,
You
no.
have to walk, and at times it is necessary to compartmentalize and say, I can't do this right now. I'm going to put it right over here on this shelf and I will deal with it later. Everybody does that. That's a thing. But at some point, you're going to have to take it off the shelf
Actually,
and
yeah.
go, okay, what is this for me? And why do I have such hatred or grief or sadness or confusion around this thing? We're farther apart than I could have ever imagined. This political cycle was not about politics. It's about values. And recognize that other people have the exact same rights as you do. And that we live in a system that is not set up that way.
Yes.
And that we have to actively do things to change that system. This is a unique time. How do you want to be treated?
Yeah.
Right? Recognizing that we all have a right to be here with the same right to be and do and live in every way, shape and form. And you should do what you want to do. Right? We all have to learn, like, hey, I'm gonna do me and you do you. But taking all of this energy to control everybody around you, like civilizations have sought to do that over and over and over again.
Yes. Yes.
And it always ends up in a cataclysmic upheaval on the planet, which is what that's also happening, right? At some point, we are the collective. People need to connect to the fact that the earth is for everyone, and find a way to be inclusive. Doesn't mean that you that you condone, that you agree with. You don't have to agree with anybody.
Yeah.
You just have to recognize that, hey, you go do your thing and I'm going to go over here and do my thing. Somebody on Instagram, this girl, I've never seen her video before, but her video is, it ain't nothing. It's none of my business. It is none of my business. It is none of my business. How energy works is there really isn't free will. Our spiritual dynamics, and either we are aware of them, therefore we can combat them and have our own opinions, or we fall in line with what everybody else thinks.
Yes. Yeah. It's the awareness. You're absolutely right.
So this is actually self-awareness and education.
Yeah. Yeah.
Educating yourself, not just trusting that somebody you like, whom you might agree with their opinion, that they are accurate and what they're saying is going to have the impact on you that they say it will.
Yes.
Right? Or that it's even true.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes. For anyone. That should be applied to anyone you're speaking to, listening to.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, the idea, hate is an easy way out. I'm going to lean on your understanding of something. I'm going to take it on as my own, so I don't have to deal with any of that. But when you do that, you are taking on the karma of that. You're taking on a pattern that you will imbibe in, you will live in it until it destroys you. Right? I mean, that's the thing, is that people don't understand when you lean on another person's understanding because it's simple, or it's easier for you, or it seems righteous.
Yeah.
It's going to take you down a path to the truth. You're not going to get out of doing the truth.
Right.
It'll lead you to the truth. And frankly, the denser the dynamic, the more difficult the transition to the truth is.
Yes. Yeah. I'm thinking of the media right now as you say that. Yeah. Yeah.
You're thinking of what?
The media, mainstream media, as you say that. Yeah. It's
a bunch of people with trying to lead other people with intention for an outcome or an agenda. You don't understand somebody's agenda. I mean, charming people are interesting, funny people are interesting. None of that stuff matters if they're going to lead you down the bad path.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? But that's something that each person has to, that they really have to understand. The bad path isn't that other people are hateful and they're gonna hurt you. It's that you holding those ideas and living in that way is going to diminish who you are. It diminishes your power. It diminishes your intellect. It diminishes your ability to make decisions and be fruitful in life.
Yes.
It disallows you to have access to brighter, more powerful energy to be more prosperous.
I'm going to totally make a left turn here.
Okay.
I have heard you talk about in the past something I just want to express the importance of is intuition and just trusting and listening to yourself. I think where we are just in general, we've gotten to a point where we don't trust ourselves. We
Right.
are looking to exterior things for all those answers when we have them right here. And something that happened to you when I think you were young when this happened, or I'm not sure when he passed, but before your father passed, you had an internal knowing that it was going to happen. Can
I
you
did.
talk about the knowing that you had? Like,
Hmm.
I think if we can talk about that kind of thing more in detail, people will start to see like that is happening to us all the time.
Absolutely. I was probably about 8 years old, 8 or 9. He died when I was, I guess it was April. So I must have been 11 and a half. So I just turned 12 after he died. So I still relate to it as if I was 12. But
Mm,
so he was sick for a couple of years, but I think for at least a year he didn't know. And then for the next 2 years, he and my mother lied to us about it. They did not tell us.
mm,
And he looked the same, but he they put him on a diet. He had some extra pounds and they put him on a diet. And I think that was the point at which they might have found a tumor. I don't know if it was just that they thought, well, you've got this, because he wasn't obese. So anyway, but they put him on a diet and they changed his eating, did all of these things. But there was a point at which um I was sitting in my sister's room and I just heard in my head, he's going to die. And I cried about it.
mm,
And then I didn't cry anymore. And then from the time that happened about 2 years earlier. And then from the point at which they told us that he had cancer, he had pancreatic cancer that spread to his liver. At the point at which he went to the hospital, he weighed like 80 pounds at the very end.
mm,
And it was at like it was about a 3 month period of time from when they told us to when he died,
mm.
which to a kid feels like it's like overnight,
Yes.
right?
Mm,
So that there was an awakening for me, that there was always a sense of understanding. Like my spirits would always give me dreams um to be prepared in advance for
mm.
things, but
Interesting.
partially because I had enormous grief.
Mm,
So I had pre-grieved, and then I was compartmentalized. My relationship with my father, we didn't spend a lot of time with him. He was a public figure. He was a radio man. And so he, from 3:30 in the morning until 3 in the
mm.
afternoon, he was working, and then he was asleep. And then we
Wow.
had an hour's worth for
Wow.
dinner. And then he went back to his room to, read and prepare. That was how he got his material for the next day. So we didn't have a lot of time with him. You were talking about, the point at which you know something and it just awakens you. I call it in Master Your Inner World, I call it holding somebody's secret.
Mm.
So at the point, like, I knew when my parents found out, probably when they really found out about his illness. They never told me, but that energy transmitted,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I knew what it was. And so I held their secret. I held a space in our
Mhm.
home for them to bring it, and for them to, bring it out into the world.
And then when you heard it, was that like you heard yourself think that and it was like a knowing, or like you heard like a guide, or you know what I mean?
It was a wave of knowing that he was
Knowing,
going to
yeah.
die. When it's their last few moments on the planet, no matter how many moments there are,
Mm.
you don't want to make it about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the real gift that you can give them is to find peace in what is happening for them and help them find peace in that too. And And so that changed my whole outlook, and it allowed me to just be there in all these different ways that I had been training for. I felt like I'd been spiritually been training for that.
I hate to say that that's beautiful, but it's beautiful.
It is
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, look, I think that's, why we have such fear, why we need to control other people or have such
Mhm.
hatred is because we have enormous fear, and we have enormous fear because we don't know how to accept death. We don't, especially in our culture,
Yes.
when you watch a movie, somebody somebody's, not feeling well, and then all of a sudden they're dun 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 dun, dun, the parade to the funeral.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
we go from ah to being in the casket. We don't
Yeah.
ever take you through that period of time
Yeah.
where,
That's
in
great.
in those last few months, people prepare, and they
Mm.
prepare spiritually, and they
Mhm.
awaken to other dimensions of energy and have deeper understandings and
Yes.
reconcile things that they have not found an opportunity or an ability to reconcile while in all the other parts of their life.
I would just love your thoughts, your opinion, your just insight on what we're seeing right now around the world. And that can be either from a very 3D viewpoint or spiritually or both. Um, Take that however, whatever direction you want to go in. And then if you could just leave us with any either something hopeful or just advice, considering everything going on.
Something helpful or just a bunch of bullshit, whatever you want. It's fine.
Whatever's gonna get us through.
This is a big old shit show, so whatever you got.
Yes.
This is a spiritual battle that we are all engaging in. And what and that means that it's not, the spiritual leads you to the actions and the thoughts and the things that you enact in the physical world. So this is an opportunity for all of us to raise up and integrate and bring all our wisdom and knowledge into our physical body, into our agency, into creating a world that can support us all. But make no mistake about it. When you talk about demons, it's interesting. People don't ever talk about this, but as a demon slayer, not everybody believes in demons, not everybody has that experience of understanding what demonic energies are, but they're related. Every culture has dense entities, but demons specifically are a Christian slash Catholic uh, dynamic, or it's specifically related to them. And so anytime you're dealing with a demon will talk about some religious shit. He'll bring some preachy stuff into it or the Bible into it. And it is a battle within, but it's for each individual. When we talk about a spiritual battle, it's because there are thoughts and ideas out there. They're trying to get you to not think
Mm.
and to not rely on yourself and your own intuition and your own heart as to what is righteous for you, not righteous for other people based on your belief systems, right? But transcending your belief system into what is human and
Yes.
what actually brings us together. There's a huge divide in that right now, and people just don't know that is what is happening. Part of the awakening process is when you realize that half of the things that bring you pain you have done to yourself.
Yes.
You agreed to them, you chose them in some way. And so that's, we all have to raise up our own selves and be accountable and responsible for what we think and what those thoughts make us feel and what those feelings propel us to do in the real world. So, because the planet right now is in a major cataclysmic end to a very long cycle. And as it has been in for thousands of years, that end of a cycle lends to this climate change that we're all experiencing, but it's never been like this,
Mm.
right? And because there's never been this many people on the planet contributing. So this is a unique situation, and we do have power. That The earth is going to be fine. She's going to
Mhm.
be fine and she does not need us. But if we want to
Yeah.
continue living here with her, we have to make some changes to create some space for us.
Yes.
And being at odds and in hatred towards ourselves is not going to help. Political, planetary, and interpersonal are the three big, huge cataclysms. The end of a 25,000 year cycle that we are experiencing all at one time on the planet right now.
Mm.
And the most important thing that you can do is raise yourself up. Right? You can't focus on making other people better. You can't be mad at them for not doing better, right? We have to decide how we want to master
Yeah.
the power we've been given. That is what we are all doing. And what that's going to look like, I'm not really sure, but we'll see.
Yeah.
It's going to depend on how many people want to find a place in their heart to accept themselves and to own the person they are and to do better in all ways. But you've got to start where you are. You have to start choosing awareness and not if you find yourself blaming anybody else but you for anything, start there. See,
Do it.
I have a new deck. I don't know when people are going to see this, but on November 15th, I'm launching the deck and we're doing an all-day YouTube reading extravaganza with anyway,
Awesome.
so I'm going to pull a card. That's what I want to do
Please.
as our ending thing. Okay, this one. Oh, this is beloved.
Mm.
And beloved speaks of a cherished relationship where we can have, where we can be unconditional. And oftentimes we have unconditional relationships, but we cannot be with them.
Mm.
So a beloved has to do with the depth and the link between two people, the lock and the key.
Mm.
But it's not necessarily an indication just of romantic love or marriage or actually being in a relationship together, but more so how the point at which you are willing to fully accept yourself as you are.
This is not bullshit.
Love it has many meanings, but you are the first. You are the first
Mm.
eternal beloved, and you are offered yet another opportunity to be here and find ways to accept exactly who you are as you are in this moment.
That's a perfect message for all of us right now,
Yeah.
truly.